Paul Dano may not be a name you often associate with stardom, but he's played a multitude of complex characters over the course of his 20-year career. Having worked with some of the most respected actors and directors in the business, his versatility is such that he's been able to make numerous transitions between independent cinema, art house films, and mainstream Hollywood blockbusters. With his calm, thoughtful demeanor, whether he's playing a supporting role or taking the lead. So, to celebrate his impeccable acting skills, here are our picks for Paul Dano's top 10 performances.
Fuck beauty contests. Life is one fucking beauty contest after another. You know, school, then college, then work? Fuck that.
Number 10. Thomas Gately, Meek's Cutoff. Kelly Reichardt's ill-fated journey into terror is as pensive as it is disquieting, especially considering the narrative is loosely based on a historical incident. Set in 1845, this unconventional western follows three families of settlers as they embark on a punishing trek along the Oregon Trail. When their guide leads them astray, the expedition is forced to contend with the unforgiving conditions of the high plain desert. The film's spectrum of emotion is brought to life with surprising nuance, ensuring that Meek's Cutoff is enthralling for some and underwhelming for others. Paul Dano's presence as Thomas Gately is limited, but it's his performance that brings the feeling of paranoia into the mix. He effectively portrays the role of a traveler who feels the American dream slipping through his fingers and into the wilderness beyond.
Water, us, blanket, you. Understand.
As a fresh-faced young pioneer, Dano may not be given as much to do as some of his more notable roles, but in typical fashion, he makes his presence count.
I don't like it, but I see your logic.
Number 9. J. Okja. This ingenious satire from writer-director Bong Joon-ho will definitely be remembered by future generations for its radical storytelling and eye-opening themes. Okja follows a young girl who befriends the genetically modified super pig her family raises as part of a global project run by a large corporation. With a tone that wildly shifts between the personal and the political, the film finally finds the perfect balance in its second half, in no small part thanks to Paul Dano's performance. Dano looms large over the film as Jay, the leader of the Animal Liberation Front, an environmentalist group whose sole mission is to rescue animals and expose the horrors of factory farming. Playing someone who highly regards the rights of voiceless animals, he embodies the essential human qualities in a changing world. Dano's quietly persuasive charisma is evident throughout the film, particularly when he delivers a monologue with perfect cadence.
We rescue animals from slaughterhouses, zoos, labs. We tear down cages and set them free. This is why we rescued Okja.
Number 8. Dwayne Hoover, Little Miss Sunshine. Here's a film that did much to elevate Dano's promise as a rising actor due to its overwhelming critical and commercial success. Little Miss Sunshine tells the endearing story of the dysfunctional Hoover family, who head out on the open road after their young daughter Olive qualifies for a beauty pageant. A film in which the journey is far more important than the destination, the oddball humor makes it frank and enjoyable in equal measure, as the family learns not to let their own shortcomings affect the love they have for one another. Featured alongside established stars like Steve Carell, Toni Collette, and Alan Arkin, Dano is able to stand out due to his tenderness and sincerity. As Dwayne, the Hoovers' reserved teenage son who has taken a vow of silence until he accomplishes his dream of becoming a pilot, he blends the rebellious spirit of youth with a dazed and confused state of mind to craft a memorable character. Although he doesn't have much dialogue owing to his peculiar characterization, he emotes brilliantly, somehow making the sullen teenager one of the most magical characters in independent cinema.
No, you're not my family! Okay, I don't want to be your family! I hate you fucking people! I hate you!
Number 7. Joby Taylor, For Ellen. This is a tough watch to say the least. Its unconventional story structure and meditative tone might not make it readily accessible for the masses, but it more than brings out the best from its cast. Paul Dano plays the role of Joby Taylor, a washed-up rock star who contemplates whether or not he is willing to give up custody of the daughter he's never met. Joby's circumstances are tough and his soul is that of a true artist. In one of his most challenging performances to date, Dano flourishes in a role that many actors would turn away from, which is a testament to how convincingly he showcases the inner turmoil of his character.
Hey. So I wanted to ask you how you felt about me. I mean, we didn't really get to talk about us, our relationship, or anything.
Well, I can't call you Dad.
He is physically isolated and emotionally distant in the first half of the film, but the heart-wrenching moments between him and his daughter are filled with emotional resonance.
You seem like a nice person.
For Ellen is a small but quietly observational film that largely wouldn't work without such a dedicated lead performance. Number 6. Calvin Weir Field's Ruby Sparks. Ruby Sparks is definitely not your typical existential drama about an artist struggling to rediscover himself. This 2012 dramedy melds anxiety with humor, love, and fantasy. Following Dano's Calvin, a writer who finds that his latest literary protagonist has come to life overnight, it focuses on the idea of the dream girl and how control and possession can be the ultimate downfalls of any relationship. Offering a quirky and fresh take on modern romance and furthermore exploring the myopic tendencies of the male gaze, Ruby Sparks is also an indication that Dano's chemistry with his real-life wife Zoe Kazan translates perfectly to the screen. Playing a man whose compassion is on the verge of being overridden by his control-freak nature, Dano's seriousness finds a friendly tone that puts the viewer at ease and somewhat in the midst of his dilemma. Calvin may seem sweet and harmless, but underneath it all, he's desperate to get what he wants. At times, he might seem like the most awful person, but Dano bestows the character with very human feelings of vulnerability and sadness.
Were you disappointed when you got to know me?
How can you ask that?
I'm such a mess.
I love your mess.
Number 5. The Riddler, the Batman. In DC's latest cinematic take on the Caped Crusader, Paul Dano is the Riddler to Robert Pattinson's Batman. A far cry from Jim Carrey's comical portrayal of the puzzle-obsessed killer, Dano's interpretation is a composite of many roles he's played before, providing a very somber and low-key take on the character. Even though his face is not visible on screen for most of the film, he nevertheless remains intimidating through his voice acting and body language alone. The Batman provides Dano an opportunity to do with the Riddler what Heath Ledger did with the Joker. His portrayal in the film is kept simple, with more focus on his odds with Bruce Wayne. There's an instant impression of suffering and depth whenever you see Dano on screen, as he instills the Riddler with an anger that has proliferated over the course of many years. His mix of emotions also has an overbearing footprint of jealousy and a sense of injustice, making his version of the Riddler one of the very best villains in the entirety of Batman's film catalog.
No! This is not how this was supposed to go! I had it all planned out!
Number 4. Alex Jones, Prisoners. Directed by Denis Villeneuve, Prisoners tells the story of Keller Dover, a man who seeks answers when his daughter is abducted and the ensuing police investigation reaches a dead end. Convinced that the suspect, Alex Jones, is behind the kidnapping, Dover abducts Alex and tortures him for a confession. Once again, Dano has little dialogue, but his variety and range are such that this unsettling performance has no need for words. As the damaged Alex, Dano's performance acts as a veil to hide the intriguing mystery's answers in plain sight. Playing opposite the likes of Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, his smokescreen for the viewer only starts making sense during the film's tense final moments. All the while, the central themes of trauma and abuse are gracefully captured in his portrayal of Alex's innocence and unbridled desperation. Prisoners shows what a true genius Dano is, carving out an incredibly human and delectably tense character study despite his limited screen time.
You were sleeping out there during the day? Why was the RV parked outside the house?
I went for a drive.
Number 3. Hank Thompson, Swiss Army Man. Swiss Army Man might be one of the most unusual movies ever made. Here, we find Dano as Hank Thompson, a man stranded on an island who's on the verge of ending his life until he befriends a corpse, played by Daniel Radcliffe, that is washed ashore. Dubbing the body Manny, the resulting bond forged through this weird coincidence only grows stronger as the movie progresses. Because the story is told from Dano's point of view, the film's setting, along with everything that happens within it, remains largely ambiguous and open to interpretation. One thing the film is not uncertain about, however, is getting laughs from viewers.
You want to go home so you can have love.
Yeah.
But you ran away because nobody loves you.
That's not true.
You're broken and empty and dirty and smelly and useless and old. You're like trash, right?
Shut up!
Between using Manny as a makeshift jet ski due to his excessive flatulence and explaining appropriate social behavior to him, Hank is a testament to how wondrous Dano can be as a performer. His genuineness in the role is reflected in his interactions with the inanimate Radcliffe. He carries the film on his shoulders and does it all with a straight face, which is an achievement in and of itself. Swiss Army Man is a liberating experience, one that is seldom encountered in mainstream cinema. Its absurdity in conception is only matched by the generosity of its execution.
What was that?
Number 2. Brian Wilson, Love and Mercy. Love and Mercy is a biographical look at the life of Brian Wilson, the co-founder and lead singer of the Beach Boys. While the narrative is heavily fictionalized, it remains true to the essence of Wilson's musical genius. The film alternates between the 1960s, as Dano's Wilson works to complete his Pet Sounds album amidst a growing struggle with mental health, and the 1980s, where an older and medicated Wilson, played by John Cusack, searches for love while breaking free from his abusive therapist. The film lies somewhere between a musical and a glorification of Wilson's life, but it vacillates between the two beautifully. Playing Brian Wilson in the prime of his talents, Dano's performance is instilled with warmth and shines with an eagerness to represent the musician's life as a memoir of his spirit. It's without a doubt a performance the actor will be remembered for, as he disappears into one of the world's most celebrated and tortured musicians without a trace, never once exploiting his character's personal issues. The completeness of his performance truly elevates the film to a status higher than it would have been without him.
Is listening in all the time! Just whisper, okay? I know what I'm talking about.
We're not gonna whisper, Brian!
Number 1. Eli and Paul Sunday, There Will Be Blood. There's actually not a lot of blood in this Paul Thomas Anderson masterpiece. For this reason, it's far more mature than the average period drama. It wouldn't be too much of a stretch to say that There Will Be Blood is the magnum opus of 21st century filmmaking, and given the complex manner in which Anderson pits two people of opposing beliefs against one another, it's not hard to understand why. Compared to the film's Oscar-winning turn from Daniel Day-Lewis as tyrannical oil tycoon Daniel Plainview, it's quite a shame that Dano's performance isn't given the same amount of credit. Greedy and corrupt preacher Eli Sunday, along with his twin brother Paul in a single scene, it takes guts to go toe-to-toe with an actor as revered as Day-Lewis as much as it does to stand tall and antagonize a character like Plainview. As the profiteer's deceitful yet intimidating contemporary, Dano finds his own exquisite language of expression. He plays to his strengths, adding a more believable sheath of reason and sanguinity that allows his calm demeanor to clash well with Plainview's chaotic spontaneity. It's Dano's most compelling performance to date, one that just might have been the sole focus of moviegoers and critics alike had Day-Lewis not been giving the performance of his career as well. So, those were our picks for the top 10 performances from Paul Dano. Dano is an actor with immense talent, and someone who's an absolute scene stealer in any film he's featured in. With more exciting roles yet to come in 2022, we can't wait to see what he has to offer in his exciting new ventures. So what do you think about this list? Comment down below to tell us which of your favorite Paul Dano performances we've left out.